Left off on 30, Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph. Left off Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph, 2 dots. Okay. Ton Rabbana in so many Tuesday because you're not permitted to equalize a pot by wedging on a piece of wood. Let's say you have wood that was designated for kindling wood. So it's not muktzah. The wood is not muktzah, and you want to take that wood and the pot is, let's say, shaky, and just to equalize it, to stabilize, you want to put it underneath. You're not permitted. Chena delis. And same thing with a door. You want to use a piece of wood that was designated for kindling wood, and you want to use it to use it as a door stopper. You're not permitted. Why? Because since the wood was designated to be used for burning, for kindling, you can't use it for another usage. Okay, it's a chiddush, right? We can see this Reb Nechemia. Reb Nechemia is machmir. Nehemiah says that even if something's not muktzah, but you can only use it in the context that it was designated for. So since it was designated for kindling wood, it can only be used for fuel, can't be used for any other usage, although the usage is a permitted usage. Right. Reb Shimon Matir. Reb Shimon says it's permitted. Why? Because Reb Shimon doesn't hold the muktzah. That once they said, as long as it's within the realm of usage and it wasn't negated, there's no reason why not to use it. If you use it for kindling wood, why can't I use it as a door stopper? You're not permitted to lead an animal with a stick on Yom Tiv. To Rash said in the Mishnah again, because what was the stick designated for? It was designated for kindling. Or maybe because it's uvda de chol, because how do you normally take an animal to market? You lead it with a stick. Rabbi Elazar b'Shimon Mati. Rabbi Elazar b'Shimon says, no, you're permitted. Lema Rabbi Elazar b'Shimon, Kavua, sphereless. Seemingly, Rabbi Elazar b'Shimon says that you could lead the animal with the stick. He must have like his father. That even though the wood was designated as kindling wood, just as Reb Shimon says, you could use it as door wedge, and you could use it as what? To stabilize the pot. So you could use the same thing, use the wood to lead the animal. Reb Shimon says no. Reb Shimon agrees that to lead the animal with the stick you're not permitted. It looks like you're going to what? To market. So Reb Shimon says no. His son says he disagrees. He's more lenient than his father because it's not a muktzah issue. It's the way it's perceived. Okay, chizra. Chizra is like a reed that grows around a tree. Reb Nachman Osar, Reb Sheshes Shori. Reb Nachman says you're not permitted. Reb Sheshes says it's permitted, it's not muktzah. Somewhere says Pertiva Koleam Lo Pligi. If it's damp, everybody agrees it's muktzah. 1 second. Rega. Yeah, we're talking about you want to take a piece of wood and use it as a what? As a poker, So it says. So Rav says it's also says if it's retiva, if it's let's say damp, everybody agrees not. Why? Because it can't be used as firewood. If it's damp, right? It's moist. It's not going to burn. They were arguing if it's dry. So dry means it can be used as firewood. The one who says you're not permitted, he holds like the opinion we just said before, that even though it's designated for permitted use, you can't switch usages. What if I'm broiling with it, using it as a poker, or I'm turning it into coal, I'm broiling on the coal itself, it's the same thing. It's the same usage. Igadi Amri, other version. Everybody agrees that if it's dry, you could use it as a poker. What? The one says if it's moist, damp, you can't use it as firewood. So it's muktzah. Since it can be used if you have a large fire, even dry, even moist wood is going to burn. A small fire won't. So since in a certain circumstance it's not muktzah, therefore you use it as a poker. The hilso. What's the halacha yabesh l'shari? That if it's dry, you could use it as a poker. Radifta also, because we hold like Reb Shimon, that even something's designated for one thing, it can be used for another thing as long as it's a permitted usage. Okay? Dorish Rava lectured. Ish lo sikones l'diritzi eitzim. Woman should not go into an area, storage location where you have wood. Litom et wood, to take a poker. Uchtishin nishbar. What about, you had a poker, initially was a poker, and it broke. So after it breaks, so you're permitted to use it as kindling wood. Why? Because Because you permitted to, let's say you have a wooden kneading bowl. You have a wooden stick. Right? And you want to use it as firewood. You take the kneading bowl, throw it into the fire. It's not muktzah. What about if it breaks? So now, initially this was a kneading bowl. It wasn't. So it's no lot. It's a new entity. So therefore, masikin, if you want to burn the whole kli, use it as fuel, that you can. But shivrei kelim, it's broken. Now this representation didn't exist before. L'meimed the Rava, Rav Yehuda Svirle. So seemingly Rava holds like Rav Yehuda. This le muktzah. I v'omer Rava l'shabi tovali baravzo v'shodi mei l'shunro. Rava says, broil for me a duck and take its intestines, give it to the cat. So what do we say? But the intestines initially were not meant for what? No, they weren't meant for cat food. Okay. Right? It was part of the Hosam came in the Mishchim. Since ultimately, if you don't get rid of it now, it's putrid. So when it was alive, he had in mind it should be used as cat food. Let's see Rashi on that. Hashal b'me'am l'chos Rav Yehuda osur l'talplo. Kol Rav Yehuda, you're not permitted to transport. See l'chos l'me'as muchad l'odam. Because when Yom Tov began, what was the intestines? Being part of the chicken, it was what? It was muchad l'odam. V'lo l'klov in the komar im lo'oisen nevelim. And what does Reb Shimon say? If the animal dies and wasn't available from before Shabbos, you're not permitted to use it as dog food. So since when Yom Tov began, the intestines were not designated for a cat yet. Came Mishchi Yanicham l'tzorch moch, because if he leaves it for the next day, vayom lo yitzorch le'miesvod, so therefore it will get putrid. So therefore he had in mind that the intestines in the animal, the chicken, should be cat food. Lashlichim l'chosu. Let's see Raj Tosus. Tosus, it says Rav Darshan lectured that a woman should not go into the woodshed to take a piece of wood and use it as a poker. So Rashi said it's going according to the opinion that although it's designated for kindling, right, but you can't switch usages. So Tosus says it's a dochi, because we don't rule this way. We rule like Reb Shimon. So why do we Rava lecture something which is not the halachas? He says like this: to take a piece of wood and use it as a poker, you know what you have to do? You have to take a knife and sharpen it to make a point. So it should be able to pierce the meat. So therefore, it's a question of it's tikkun mana. You're perfecting it. It's makabeh patish. In terms of muktzah, it's not a muktzah issue. This is issa d'oraisa. That's what we're talking about over here. So it's good. Muktzah, Reb Shimon holds, even if it's designated for one usage, you can use it for something else. Firewood, you can use it as a door stopper to stabilize a pot. But here, if she goes in there and she wants to use it as a poker, she's going to have to sharpen the tip. Sharpen the tip, that's makabeh patish, therefore she should not. Okay. Shadi mei l'shunro. Robert says, take the cat, the duck, after you broil it, take its intestines, throw it to the cat. Pirush Rashi. Rav Yehuda have a osur, l'talpul litin l'chos l'mes muchan l'odam have Vom Rav Yehuda dim l'hoysa neveil me'er Shabbos. Rav Yehuda says if an animal dies and it wasn't available before Shabbos, also litin l'klovim. Just because a person chooses not to eat a certain portion of meat, that makes it muktzah. I mean, if the intestines is fit for human consumption, even if you don't eat it, it's not muktzah. A person doesn't like a certain cut of meat. Other people will eat it. It says that raw meat is not muktzah because you can eat it raw. But who eats raw meat? You have no choice to eat raw meat. But factor, since it could be eaten, it's not muktzah. So since the intestines can be, even though you choose not to eat it, that doesn't turn something which is edible into muktzah. This is kash. We're talking about the intestines already started to become semi-putrid. And it says take the semi-putrid, right? So therefore it's no longer fit for human consumption. That since ultimately they spoil very quickly after you slaughter the duck. So therefore initially, an animal dying, you never know if it's going to die. But here he plans to slaughter the duck on Yom Tov. And if there's going to be intestines, he's not going to eat it, so he's probably going to leave it a little bit. He leaves it a little bit, it's going to get putrid. And it's going to be inedible, even during the week. Therefore, even before it's slaughtered, he already has in mind that those intestines are going to be used as cat food. Therefore, even Rabbi Yehuda would agree that the intestines are not muktzah. Okay? Further. Rabbi Lezo man notal odem kisem mishlefonav chlachtus boshinov. Person is permitted to pick up a splinter, like a twig, and to use it as a toothpick to clean his teeth. Right? Yeah. Even though what the connotation with fun of Rashi says, fun of means like it's in his house. He eats in his house. He says he could even go into the chotzer. Goes out into the courtyard, finds a twig. He could pick up that twig and use it as a toothpick. We'll see Rashi. You're permitted to gather the brush in the courtyard, the twigs, madlik, and use it as fuel. Use it as fuel. Why? Because anything which is in the courtyard, even though it's on the ground, his mindset is, it's there for his usage. So therefore, he can even gather it on Yom Tiv. Something that's immediately before him, that he has in mind. But the whole courtyard, he doesn't have in mind. Which means striking a match is not permitted. Right? On Yom Tiv. Transferring fire is permitted. Striking a match, now why not striking? Because that's it appears as if you're creating fire. You're creating fire. So the same thing, to be able to take wood and cause a flame, like take two flints together, rub two pieces together to create fire, you're not permitted. Or mina avonim, they would take a certain stone and they'd hit the stone, and the stone, a flintstone, and would cause a spark. Lo mina offer also from the earth itself. Lo mina arofim, they would take tiles, on the roof. Lo mina mayim. There's a way that if you take a magnifying glass and you reflect the sun into the water, you have like a flame on the water itself. You're not permitted to heat the slate roof tiles, shingles, to broil on top of it. It's made of pottery. Yeah. Why? Because if you heat it, it's a question of makam b'patish. Heating it is the equivalent of what? Putting it in the kiln. So because it hardens it, that's makam b'patish. It's made of clay. Okay? Let's take a look at Rashi. Notal odum kisum funny, permitted to take in modern Hebrew. You know how to say a toothpick? Kisum. Kisum, that this word, yeah. I normally can tell you. His son, when he took Kopan, told him that's how you say toothpick. Okay. Okay. Notal kisum funov, mimashal funov babais, meaning whatever's in the house is considered, his mind is there, it's not muktzah. Last Vashinov, Lito Bosa Chotze Beishirov, to clean out the teeth, the meat that's stuck between his teeth. Mishalfonov Labdavko, it doesn't mean literally before him. The Rebbe Lozer, Afmin Achotzer, Nami, you can even go into the courtyard. Because we just said, everything in the courtyard is the person's mindset. Right? Rebbe Lozer, the Koma, Komashu Bechotze Muchanu, Reish Lo Slashmina Elo Hete Tiltul, Eitzim, Af Shlo Lasoka, Divil Grabonabo, Kedel Kamon Bivrais Bigmoro, because the Chum argue. Even though the wood itself was designated for fire, wood, for kindling, it doesn't make a difference. The Gavev, Kisman Dak, V'Kasher, Magavev, Shlom Madlik, Alom Nachotz Loho, V'Dakening, V'Torach Kashrim the Esmo. You hear this? That since we're talking about twigs in the courtyard, it's not easy to gather it. So because it takes a tremendous effort, his mindset is, I'm not interested in that. Lav lochi kaimi utkamed notul of the kisses lach shinav adnan Island afshel fun of loyitol alahadlik.
So if that's a mind case, does that become a tircha and you wouldn't do it? Becomes off-limit?
Again, it goes the other. Because it's a tircha, that's why he doesn't have it in mind.
Right.
That's why he doesn't have it in mind. Yeah. He says when it says you get a spark out of the ground, let's say it's very hard. You ever take a shovel where the ground is very hard and you hit it with the tip of the shovel. There's a spark.
Yeah.
So that's what he's talking about. That's the offer. Okay. Omer Rav Yehuda. Omer Rav Yehuda. Ochle behemo. Ein behem mishum tikkun kli. Yeah. Anything which is animal fodder. If you go and you do something, you can't. It's the law of tikkun kli. Let's say you take a bit of straw that an animal eat, and you go and you whittle the tip of the straw to make it sharp. It's not makah b'patish. Anything which is ochel of the behema, the law of makah b'patish has no relevance to. Okay. Rashi says, kash, straw, alikanim, leaves, ebem mishum tikkun kli, umuta liktom, l'sake, kasha shabolim, Shabbos lachzit. So you can take part of the husk of wheat kernel, break it off, strip it, and use it to clean your teeth. Because the husk is what is firmer, and the edges are sharp. Eisir Rav Kana Rav Yehuda. So this is Rav Yehuda. So Rav Kana asked Rav Yehuda, you're permitted to transport fragrant piece of wood, like cloves, but this is atzei b'somim, to smell them. And to wave it over a person's ill, so the fragrance should go on him. And you're permitted to rub it between your hands and smell it. But you shouldn't break this wood, which is fragrant wood, because when you break it, the scent is more tense. And if you did break it, you're potter mechatos. Okay, lachs b'shinov, avalos lachs b'shinov. This is the brisa. It says here you're not permitted to break it to smell it, and you're not permitted to take it to shop to clean your teeth, even though all this we're talking this Michael Behema, like this is animal fodder. You shouldn't break it. He says, just from the brisa it says it's also on a rabbinic level. I'd have difficulty in what you're saying, because you said anything which is fit for an animal to eat, animal fodder, Makpatish doesn't have. And here we have a case, it's also Jabona. Kashli. Yeah. Hashta Potter. Avaloser Kokashli. Chatos Chayv Chatos Mi Boy. Right? There's no question that's even more difficult. Because he says he's permitted to do it. Elo. Kitanyo ahib bekashin. Kashmin. They're hard. Kosher. Koshin. Chasuri mer shvochitonim. Molo merichbo. You're permitted to rub the wood between your hands and smell it. Kot mo merichbo. You're permitted to break it and smell it. Medvum belrachim. When could you even break it? That's rachin, like we said before, because since it's fit for animal consumption, anything which is meichel beim or makpatish has no relevance to it. Avokoshin, but let's say it's hard, where the animal can no longer eat it, right? Lo yichtmen, you're not permitted to break it because now it's makpatish. Vim kitmo poter avoloser las voshinov l'tmen vim kitmo chayv chatos. You are alive for chatos. Toni chad kitmo merichbo. One says you're permitted to break it and smell it. You're not permitted to break the riechbo. Omer Reb Zeir, Omer Reb Chisa, Reb Zeir says in Reb Lukasho, ha berachim, ha bekoshi. Here, if it's soft, you potter. If it's stiffer, you chayiv. You tell me why.
What are we talking about?
If it's soft, you potter because it's fit for animal consumption.
Right.
If it's hard, it's not. Therefore, it's makah bepatish. That's how we're differentiating. Okay. Right. The whole discussion is makah bepatish.
Right.
But he just made a statement for Rav Yehuda that if it's fit for animal consumption,
and it gets hard.
No. Before it gets hard.
Good.
You perfect it.
Right.
There's no liability.
Right.
Why? Because it's a
there's
food
no
item.
Right.
But what happens if that same food now hardens, or it's the husk?
Right.
So you chayiv. Why you chayiv? Because the animal's not going to eat it. And what? And you're perfecting it, so you're not permitted to do it. Right? That's what he says. It's no, an animal can't. It's the reason why the magpie doesn't apply because it's fit. It's a food item.
Right. So why would it lose just because
It gets hard. The animal can't eat it any longer. It only eats it when it's softer. When it's hard, an animal doesn't eat wood. It becomes like a piece of wood.
Okay.
See what's so difficult?
I mean, toast or that kind of thing. You eat
It's not toast.
bread,
It's not
you eat
toast.
toast is bamboo.
Yeah, it's always the Gemara says.
Okay.
You ever see a deer eats off the off branches when they're soft. Once the deer doesn't eat wood.
They don't look at it.
When it's a shoot, when it's still a shoot, he eats it. The deer will eat it off the tree. It's interesting. The Gemara says in Shabbos in Kiro, normally we say that a cliche is not mavashe.
Right.
If you put hot water in the second vessel, it doesn't cook. However, there's certain things which are kali abishul. They're very sensitive to heat. You could cook even if it's the klisheni. So Gemara speaks about a case. It's a certain type of fish. It's like sardines. It's called kulis hispanin. Rashi says, because when you pour water on it, it becomes cooked. So there's a question: what's it mean? No, hot water. Hot water. I mean, hot water from. The question is: cliche? Is it even cliche? Rishon or even klisheni? Talk about even klisheni. It's a question I learned in the Gemara. So the question is why? So some learn the Mishmur cites a chayodom that it's makah bepatish. Before it was not edible. When you put hot water, it becomes edible. It's makah bepatish. That's the discussion. So we will alocha. You're permitted to do it. Because so the question is the makah pash be'ochen? There's no makah bepatish. Because Mishmur speaks about a case somewhere else. Ramah says that you can take, let's say, food that's very hot, soak it in water to make it edible, just to soften it.
Right.
So yes, it's makah bepatish. The answer is it's not. Anything which is fit for eating, right, as we're discussing here. Something which is machal behemo,
Right.
since the animal eat it, that it doesn't have a shame kli. That's not called a kli.
Good.
You're not establishing anything.
Is it only for Shabbos? I mean, only Yom Tov?
Shabbos and Yom, same thing. Shabbos and Yom. Right. Right.
That's why it's
Yeah. Okay. You don't have to use. You can pour from a klisheni into a klisheni.
And then you can put the sardines of the fish in.
Yeah. Okay. So reminds us. El kitanya hi bakash bakoshin koshim name lilo ninu. Achitani molim tin. Okay.